Hi, everybody, and welcome to Parents Perspective with Mike and Amy. I'm Mike Thomas, and with me is co-host Amy Bishop. And this program is part of an education series through the St. Clair County Speak Youth Coalition, funded in part by Region 10 and in partnership with the St. Clair County Health Department and local organizations in the Blue Water area. Last week, we finished our part two of our drug talk, looking specifically at the negative effects of certain substances in our area. And this week, what we wanted to do is talk a little bit about some products that are being used to conceal the use. Now, some of the things are pretty obvious when it comes to smells and other things like that. We know a lot of the things that are out there. In fact, Amy, you probably remember as well as I do. Remember when we were younger, we could go in and you go to a restaurant, they'd have a smoking or a non-smoking section.
I do remember that. I'm glad you're old enough to relate to me on that. That was the norm. That was a social norm, basically, that was an option. Now it isn't. Definitely, yeah.
And I know even back when we were younger, you could take a note in for your parents and actually go to the local store and, hey, my mom needs this. And so a lot of those things I'm glad are gone away. But we've got a few things that are coming up now that could be just as risky, and things are a lot more clandestine or sneaky than what they used to be. And it's gone so far as to certain companies actually making products that look similar to that of real things that people would use in school or in other areas. So Amy she's going to take a few moments and kind of share a few of those things as far as devices specifically. And then we're going to both talk a little bit about some other ways that our children can conceal and things that you as a parent can watch for to make sure that they're not bringing things into your house or sneaking them in their school bags or other areas. So Amy, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the mods or pods that are out there right now and some of the lookalike features with those?
Well, I can. I'm actually even going to start with maybe some things that parents might be aware of, just so that they can kind of move a step further. So another big one that I have seen even while I have worked in the school is students bringing in what are water bottles in water bottles in their backpacks, and it's vodka. So things like that can at first sight seem like, oh, that's what it is, may not necessarily be so. And so to match that up with behavior, a student that isn't doing well, looking for unhealthy ways to cope or access, like, as parents and grandparents and just responsible adults, we need to lock these things up so that students don't have access. I even talked to a parent where a student would fill up the vodka bottle with water, replacing it, so the level looked like it didn't change from what they took out. So kids can be sneaky, they can be curious. I don't think they want their parents to interfere maybe sometimes with what they want to do. They're independent. Or they just don't want to let their parents down that they have this in their life, and so they want to conceal it to protect even their parents from what their parents might feel. But reassuring your student that it's always okay to talk to me about anything. I want to know. I want to help you with a problem. I won't be disappointed in you. I love you. So moving beyond some of those basic things like smelling of smoke or smelling of excessive cologne or perfume to disguise obvious signs that maybe your student is smoking in the bathroom or outside or at friends' houses. There are other devices that, like you said, manufacturers are making and selling on purpose with the whole point of helping students conceal and hide from their parents and teachers and leaders what they're actually doing. So one thing that we've found is something as simple as a Coke bottle. We ordered one ourselves here through Speak to kind of see what that looked like. And it was basically a can of Coke, Coca-Cola, and but it has the weight of a Coca-Cola, exactly the same. I picked it up. I would never have guessed it was anything but you can screw the cap off and then inside put whatever you want. If it's a baggie of something, if it's cigarettes, vaping device, whatever, and then screw it back on. It just looks like an unopened can of pop. So something just everyday use that at a glance. You would never know. Another item that can be used and ordered is it looks and is and functions as a brush, but the handle of the brush can be opened and things can be stuffed in it and the handle can be screwed back on. So simple as a purse and a backpack or gym bag or, you know, that can be another device or system that kids can use to conceal things. So I am going to talk a little bit more here about other items. I'm going to throw this up on the screen, but things that I'd like parents to look at it. We've got little thumbs up for, yes, this is an actual black Sharpie, a black marker. But then there's another one on the table that looks like a black Sharpie, but is indeed not. And that is actually a vaping device. So there's one on here, I'll go through them, that is, it looks like it's a compact mirror. One is a compact mirror, just something someone would use to check their makeup. And another one is a Cree UFO that's an actual vaping device. And they look so similar that at first glance, you would never know. We've got a USB drive that looks exactly like the Juul. So you have to really study these things. We've got little water flavoring or water enhancement that you just squeeze little drops into your water to flavor your water so it tastes yummier. And then we also have comparing that to a Surin drop, and it looks exactly like the water enhancement, except for a little black mark on it. So even as simple as a smartwatch can be a device. So yeah, there's lots of things. Pen can even be a pod system. So you have to really be astute and know what these things look like. So I thought I'd show these so that you got a actual idea of comparing these things and how alike common items they can look. Simple school supplies or, you know, personal items can not be that. They can be devices that deliver substances to our youth.
And Amy, even without some of those devices, our children can find ways to use those products that are meant for school products and conceal as well too. Something as simple as a highlighter. You can actually take the bottom out, and I've noticed that, and this is something having worked inside of a halfway house, is using these for concealing items as well too. So looking at things like that, hollowing out bottoms of the shoes sometimes, or Crocs even, I've seen that happen. Keeping things in their wallets or purses. If we're being honest, like looking at these products alone, we can tell that manufacturers are encouraging a concealment mindset with our youth. And let's face it, you even have some devices like applicators inside of hoodie strings. How many of us in our 60s and 70s are really sitting there and chewing on our hoodie strings? Those are things that are really designed to get our youth to really start looking at finding ways to sneak their products. The smells alone are things like that. Like, you can definitely tell if somebody's smoking a cigarette, but it's a little bit harder when they're using a vape product that smells like cotton candy or other things. Now, more people maybe lately because it's been more common, but this is part of the issue we're dealing with. We're creating, in some ways, with marketing, a sneaky don't tell culture. We call it don't snitch sometimes in the out in the field, but basically that no snitch concept, that you don't tell on things. Well, we also hide things so that way people don't know what we're doing. Sneakiness has been around for a long time. I know, Amy, you and I were probably had our fair share of times when we were a little bit sneaky when we were kids. But if you're like me, you probably weren't sneaking meth inside of some of these pipes either, were you?
No, 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 no.
Right. And so that's part of the other scary thing. Some of these mods are actually equipped to actually heat up liquids that have things other than just THC in them. Sometimes if you have them really built, they can actually cook meth in them. And that's part of the scary problem with these devices. Another scary thing too is some of the name changes that are going on. I don't know if you guys are aware of this now, but Philip Morris is no longer Philip Morris. Altria, I believe, is the name of it. So they've changed their name, and they own roughly 35%, of, at least the last report I saw, 35% of Juul stock. So why would they want to do that? Let's face it, with vaping and that becoming popular and these devices being used for concealability, this is a chance to normalize going back to cigarette smoke, guys. And so that opportunity is there for them to start with something which people are told seems harmless, but actually can come back and be something that can be addictive. And when that's not working, why not try the other thing and go right back to paper products? People got to make their money somehow, and that's one of the ways they're doing it. So just understand that the culture is creating a sneakiness, but as parents, that still doesn't permit us from not paying attention. We need to be aware of what's going on with our children. So there's some things that we can do as parents to make sure that our children are not doing that, or keep a better eye on them. And one thing that you can do right off the bat is make sure that you are not letting little things slide, not telling little white lies, or being clandestine yourself, sneaking and doing little things, because that's a behavior that they see in you that can carry on as well. If it's okay for mom and dad to do it, not why not me? And let's face it, isn't it seem funny that the little things we try to get away with are never good things? They're those little things we don't hide the truth. I mean, if it's a good thing, why hide it? We want to let the whole world know. It's the sneaky bad things that people try to hide, and we model that ourselves if we tell lies, if we do those things as well. But beyond that, sometimes we're doing the right influences, and our children just sometimes want to use anyway. They get with the wrong crowd. So some things that you can do right off the bat: keep an eye on what's in their room. Make sure they're cleaning up their room. A lot of times you're going to see some common things that are going to be around when children are using certain drugs. Like you're going to see like rolled up dollar bills, or why is there no bottom in the pen? Things like that. Little wax baggies or plastic baggies that really in bulk usually mean they're getting small doses of something. Those are extremely common for sales for certain opiates, stimulants, or in some cases, other products as well too, or pills. So pay attention to what's going on in your children's room. Okay. Smells are going to be common, and sometimes people are going to try to mask the smells. Fruity smells can be a big part of the vaping products as well too. There's a variety of different smells with that. So if all of a sudden you're noticing, oh, what's that weird smell down the hallway? Things like that. Amy, what are some other things that we can do to make sure that we're keeping an eye out on our children and paying attention to these things?
Well, like I said before, knowing who their friends are, where they're going, staying in communication. But I think that room checks are, okay. I think that the kids should clean their rooms. I think we should be astute. Like you said, just that whole deceit thing, encouraging that, I want you to be honest with me because I can't help you with the problem unless you tell me the truth. If you don't base your relationship on trust, you've got problems. So that, first and foremost, communication and encouraging the truth, even if it's something as a parent I don't really want to hear, that would be hurtful. I am a parent, I'm an adult, I got big shoulders, put it on me. I can't help you unless I have all the information. I want to work with you. It's not that I want to punish you or make your life miserable. I want to get to the core issues so that you can lead a normal, healthy life and cope in a healthy way. And then admitting, I don't do everything right. And I think that telling our children that I might not be the perfect role model, that's okay to share, but that we as parents want more for them. Every generation wants the next generation to be a better person, or a better edition of themselves. So I want you to go on and do more and reach further than I did. I want you to find my hangups and issues. That's, I think, reaching forward always is important. So I just think being in communication, being in tune to any slight behavioral changes, with being withdrawn or isolated, or friends change, or not wanting to do anything that they used to enjoy, those are all warning signals. Maybe only if it might only be being depressed or having some mood problems, but even to look into those so they don't turn to unhealthy ways of coping and dabbling in, hey, my friend told me that this makes her feel better. And people want to feel better. It's not fun to be sick. It's not fun to be miserable or down all the time. It's very just having a mood down all the time is very depressing and disheartening. So and especially with COVID, like we've said, a lot of people are feeling isolated, and teens are into their friends. It's so important to them. So I think just looking for those small behavior changes, keeping the communication channels open, that's all helpful. Um, yeah, and reaching out for help from others that maybe have gone through it or other professionals, advice. It's okay as parents to ask for help too. And advice on, hey, what should I do? You know, reach out to our adolescent center, reach out to Impact to say, hey, this is what I'm going through. What can I do? I think that that's important for us to know that we're not alone, that we have a community of agencies that are there to help us and take advantage of those.
Exactly. And if you're interested in learning more about that, we will have links available to those places through the St. Clair County Help Card, so you can access some of those resources that are out there and make sure that you know that you actually do have a community that really is trying to help deal with this issue, because there's a lot going on, but there's a lot we can do about it. When we come in next week, we're going to actually be talking about trauma. Trauma has a lot of different aspects to it. We want to break that down a little bit, take some time looking at that. And we'll be on next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. So if you get a chance, keep following us on Instagram, like us on Facebook. You can also send any questions to the comments in those sections, as well as through speak@stclaircounty.org. And we hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.